Welcome. I'm so glad that you finally decided, because you were thinking about it for a long time, weren't you? You finally decided to join us for this new class for busy people. It's simply called 7 New and Now Things You Need to Do and Need to Know in order to get your first job, perhaps, first real job. Or perhaps you're looking now for the next job, a better job. And many of you would say, hey, I really would like the best job. Well, that's what this class is going to do in just a little over an hour, and I'm taking my many years of experience as a marketer, as a broadcaster, as a teacher, as a business performance coach to people from startup entrepreneurs to CEOs of major companies, and now I'd like to be kind of an executive coach for you as you start out your life and your career looking for that first position, that next opportunity, perhaps something that'll finally get you off the job and back into a real career path. That's what this is all about. And most of the stuff you've learned is wrong. I'm sorry, but it is. It may have worked in its time, but the times have changed, and even then, it perhaps missed some very important and vital information that you need to know that perhaps can change your life, particularly change how you go about positioning yourself in the world so you can get the position, the role, and the job you want. And I'm going to begin by just telling you a very simple story that may hopefully inspire you. One of my favorite films, it goes back a number of years. It was called Chariots of Fire. Some of you may have seen it, but probably most of you haven't. And it was about the 1924 Olympics, where a group of young men from Great Britain who had survived the war, some of them, the First World War. They'd been involved in the tragedies of that world, and now the Olympics were getting started in the 1924 Olympics in Paris. And it's a story about those men, particularly 2 men, and one of them was a man named Eric Liddell. It turns out that Eric Liddell was the son of missionary parents in China, and now he, along with his brothers and sisters, had come as a young man to Great Britain so they could pursue their education. Someday he hoped that he would return perhaps as a missionary to China, but right now he's involved in deciding what he wants to do with his career, what he wants to do with his life, and finish his education. What he discovers is that he loves to run. And he's really good at it. No, he's not good at running. In fact, his form is terrible. However, he's very, very fast. And he starts to participate. And at that time, all the Olympic sports were amateurs, starts to compete. And he starts to win, and he starts to get publicity, and he starts to get some trophies and some ribbons in his name. Because he had some origins in Scotland, he's kind of called the Flying Scotsman. And he's enjoying this. And he is perhaps going to make the Olympic team for Great Britain in 1924. However, there's one person who's not at all happy, and that is his sister Jenny, who loves him a great deal. However, she's afraid that this running is going to distract him from what she believes as his real mission to get his education and return to the Chinese field of helping people learn about how they can live and about the gospel, and she wants him to get on with that. And she challenges him one time, and he has a line that I want to share with you because it's challenged me in every career job that I've wanted to have, and I've gone through more than a few. He says to her, "Jenny, don't you know that God made me fast? And when I run, I feel His pleasure." I almost tingle when I remember that line. When I run, I feel His pleasure. Now, what I simply want to challenge you is with this. I've worked in the business and career field for many years, and most people don't like what they do. They have a job. And if they didn't have to, they wouldn't do it. They would do something else. I know they will say it's okay and they like their job, but most people don't like what they're doing. It's not that fulfilling. It's not that creative. They don't feel anybody's pleasure, not even their own. I'm going to challenge you right now. as part of your exploration to find out who you are and what you're all about, that you are seeking not just how can I get a job, but you're doing some of the internal, perhaps spiritual, emotional, and relational work to discover what are you really called to do. Not just the job you're to do, the calling, perhaps the vocation, the thing that you were made for. You were made fast, and when you run, you feel the pleasure. You were made for this, and when you do it, you feel the pleasure. And you could do it all your life, whether they paid you or not. I simply want you to begin our search for the new and now things to do by remembering the goal. We have to work. We have to be occupied. We have to have a vocation. We have to earn a paycheck. We have to go out there and get compensated in some way. But perhaps while you're doing this, you will think about, what am I made to do so that when I do it, I feel the pleasure? Just think about that as we go through our class.